Get out of that seat. You're stinking up my cockpit. Dirty hands all over the controls. 20 years I've done this job. Never once has a black person sat in that chair. The captain! You think I believe you're the captain?
She looked at him calmly.
Are you done?
Are you done? Swanson's jaw clenched. His neck flushed red. Back to him. He snatched his radio.
Gate
B12, full team, now! 2 officers rushed in. Swanson grabbed her arm and ripped her from the seat. Her captain's hat hit the floor. They dragged her through the cockpit door. Her knees scraped the jet bridge. Stay with me, because what she did next brought an entire airline to its knees. But let's rewind. 6 hours before that cockpit door swung open, 4:15 in the morning, a quiet suburb outside Atlanta. The sky was still pitch black, not a single bird yet. Patricia Williams stood in her kitchen. The coffee maker hissed and gurgled on the counter. Steam curled up from a heavy ceramic mug. The smell of dark roast filled the room. She wore a plain white t-shirt and sweatpants. Her captain's uniform hung on the bedroom door, pressed and ready. Her flight bag sat by the front entrance, packed the night before. Same spot every time. The hallway told her story without a single word. A framed photo of a younger Patricia standing next to a C-17 Globemaster in desert sand. Another one of her shaking hands with a 2-star general. Her Air Force wings mounted in a shadow box. And right beside it, her FAA Airline transport pilot certificate. She pulled up the weather app on her tablet. Clear skies. Light crosswind out of the southwest. Flight 1142, Atlanta to Dallas, departure at 7:40 a.m. A standard Tuesday. Her phone buzzed. She smiled before even looking at the screen. "Hey baby, are you up already?" It was Kayla, her 15-year-old daughter, staying with Patricia's mother while she flew this week. "You know I am," Patricia said. "How's Grandma?" "Snoring," Patricia laughed. A warm, easy laugh, the kind that only comes from a home that feels safe. "Bring me something from Dallas?" Kayla asked. "Always do." She hung up, took one last sip of coffee, rinsed the mug, grabbed her bag and her keys. Outside, the air was cool and damp, crickets still going. Patricia tossed her flight bag into the back seat of her sedan. Nothing flashy, reliable, a car that got the job done just like her. She turned the key. Jazz filled the speakers. She hummed along as she pulled onto the empty road. 18 years at Skybridge Airlines. Over 12,000 flight hours logged. 6 years flying military cargo in the United States Air Force before that. Multiple safety commendations. Not one incident on her record. Not one. This was a woman who earned everything she had. Quietly, consistently, without asking anyone for applause. Hartsfield-Jackson was already waking up when Patricia walked through the crew entrance at 5:50 a.m. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The smell of fresh coffee drifted from kiosks just rolling up their gates. Rolling luggage clicked across polished tile floors. A janitor buffed the corridor near Terminal B. Patricia badged through crew security. The TSA officer nodded. "Morning, Captain Williams." "Morning, Ray." She walked through the terminal with her flight bag over one shoulder. Other pilots passed and nodded respectfully. A flight attendant waved from across the hall. Patricia knew names. She remembered faces. That was just who she was. At gate B12, First Officer Nathan Cole was already waiting. He stood by the window, coffee in hand, watching ground crews load baggage onto their aircraft. "Full house today," Nathan said. 174. "Then let's make sure they get there smooth," Patricia replied. They walked down the jet bridge together. Patricia did her standard walk-around inspection. Tires, landing gear, engine intakes. She ran her hand along the fuselage like she always did. A ritual, a quiet promise between her and the machine. Everything was in order. Just another Tuesday. Meanwhile, on the other side of the airport, a different kind of morning was underway. Derek Swanson sat behind his desk in the Security Operations Office. Paperwork was scattered everywhere. 3 empty energy drink cans lined the edge. The room smelled like stale coffee and cheap cologne. He was barking into his radio. "I don't care what he said. You tell that vendor he doesn't move past the checkpoint without a full pat-down. I don't care if he's been here 100 times." Swanson was 52 years old, head of airport security operations. He wore his badge high on his chest, polished every morning, like a sheriff in a Western movie. He had transferred to Hartsfield 8 months ago. The official reason was departmental restructuring. The real reason was an internal review at his previous airport. 3 complaints of racial profiling, all buried, all quietly settled. He hadn't changed, he'd just moved. His deputy, Craig Dunham, leaned against the doorframe, 34, buzz cut, the kind of man who laughed at his boss's jokes a beat too fast. Eager, obedient. Swanson tossed down his radio. He pulled up the crew manifest for the morning departures. His finger slid down the list and stopped at Flight 1142. Captain, Patricia Williams. He stared at the name. Then he leaned back in his chair. Something shifted behind his eyes. His jaw tightened. He looked at Dunham. "Pull up the crew badge records for Flight 1142, the captain." Dunham blinked. "Any reason?" Swanson didn't answer. He just stared at the manifest. "Just do it." Patricia settled into the left seat. Her seat, the one she'd sat in thousands of times before. The cockpit smelled like recycled air and leather. Overhead switches lined the ceiling in neat rows. The instrument panel glowed soft green. Outside the windshield, ground crews moved across the tarmac in orange vests under the early morning sun. Nathan slid into the right seat beside her. He pulled out the pre-flight checklist. They'd done this together so many times it was almost muscle memory. Altimeter set? Checked. Fuel load confirmed. Confirmed. 14,000 pounds. Nav systems. Online and calibrated. Patricia's hands moved across the switches with the ease of someone who could do this blindfolded. She checked the hydraulics. She tested the rudder pedals. She reviewed the passenger count on her tablet. 174 souls. Her responsibility. Everything was clean. Everything was normal. Then a knock came at the cockpit door. Denise Holloway stood in the doorway. She was 29, the gate agent assigned to B-12 that morning. Her Skybridge lanyard hung crooked around her neck. Her hands were fidgeting. "Captain Williams, I'm sorry to bother you." Patricia turned. "What's up, Denise?" Denise swallowed hard. She wouldn't look Patricia in the eye. "Security flagged your crew badge. They're saying there's some kind of ID verification discrepancy. They want you to step out." Patricia blinked. "A discrepancy? I've had this badge for years. It cleared me through KCM 30 minutes ago." Denise nodded quickly. "I know, I told them that, but they're insisting." Patricia looked at Nathan. He frowned. She looked back at Denise. "All right, Nathan, keep running the checklist. I'll sort this out." She unclipped her seatbelt, placed her headset on the center console, straightened her uniform jacket. Then she walked out of the cockpit, down the narrow aisle, and onto the jet bridge. The air hit different out here, cooler. The faint smell of jet fuel drifted up from the tarmac below. The fluorescent tube above flickered once. 2 men stood at the far end of the jet bridge, waiting for her. Derek Swanson, arms crossed, feet planted wide, his security badge gleaming under the light. Behind him, Craig Dunham, clipboard in hand, trying to look official. Swanson didn't introduce himself, didn't say good morning, didn't extend a hand. He looked Patricia up and down, slowly, from her shoes to her captain's hat, the way someone inspects something they've already decided is counterfeit. "ID," he said. One word, flat. Patricia unclipped her Skybridge crew badge from her jacket. She held it out along with her FAA Airline transport pilot certificate. 2 documents, 18 years and 12,000 hours summarized on laminated cards. Swanson took them between 2 fingers, like he didn't want to touch them too long. He glanced at the crew badge for maybe 2 seconds. He didn't even open the ATP certificate. He handed them back. "These don't match our records." Patricia's brow tightened. "What records? What doesn't match?" "That's not your concern. I need you to step away from the aircraft, now." We're conducting further verification. Patricia held her ground. Her voice stayed level. Sir, I'm the captain of this flight. I cleared the TSA known crew member this morning. I've been with Skybridge for 18 years. My credentials are valid. If there's a specific discrepancy, tell me what it is so I can resolve it. Swanson's eyes narrowed, his chin lifted. I don't need to explain my process to you. I'm telling you, step away from the aircraft. Behind them, passengers in the boarding area began to notice. Heads turned. Murmurs rippled through the line. A woman near the front pulled her child closer. Patricia didn't raise her voice. She didn't step back. I'd like to speak with your supervisor. Swanson tilted his head. A thin smile crossed his lips, the kind of smile that isn't a smile at all. I am the supervisor. He let that hang in the air. Then he unclipped his radio from his belt. This is Swanson. I need additional units at gate B12 Jet Bridge, immediately. Patricia watched him. Her pulse ticked up, but her face showed nothing. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out her phone. Then I'm calling Skybridge operations to sort this out. Swanson's hand shot out. Put the phone away. Excuse me? You are in the middle of a security review. You do not make calls. You do not contact anyone. You stand here and you cooperate, or this gets a lot worse for you. Patricia held the phone at her side. Her jaw tightened, but she did not put it away. I have every right to contact my airline. You have the right to do what I tell you. Footsteps echoed behind Swanson. 2 more security officers came jogging up the jet bridge. Young, tense, hands hovering near their belts. Swanson pointed at Patricia. Remove her from the aircraft. Patricia stepped back. Don't touch me. I am the captain of this. Craig Dunham grabbed her left arm. One of the officers seized her right. Her phone clattered to the jet bridge floor. Her flight bag tipped off her shoulder and hit the ground with a heavy thud. She twisted, not to fight but to stay upright. It didn't matter. They pulled her forward. Her captain's hat tumbled off her head and rolled across the metal floor. The gold wings on her chest caught the fluorescent light as her uniform crumpled under their grip. Get your hands off me! Her voice was firm. Not screaming, not begging. Firm. They didn't listen. Nathan Cole burst out of the cockpit. His face was white. What the hell are you doing? That is my captain! Swanson stepped in front of him, chest out, one hand raised. Sir, step back, or you will be removed next. Nathan looked past Swanson at Patricia being dragged down the jet bridge. Her knees scraped the ridged metal floor. Her sleeve tore at the shoulder seam. This is wrong, Nathan said. His voice shook. This is absolutely wrong. Swanson didn't blink. Step back. At the end of the jet bridge, where it connected to the terminal, the boarding area had gone completely silent. 174 passengers stood frozen, some with boarding passes in hand, some mid-sentence, all staring. Then the phones came up. 1, 5, 20, screens glowing, recording. Patricia was walked through the gate area in full captain's uniform, arms held by 2 men, her hat gone, her bag gone, her sleeve torn, her face composed, unbroken, but her eyes burned. An older woman covered her mouth with her hand. A businessman in a gray suit shook his head slowly. A teenage boy held his phone with both hands, recording everything. And from somewhere near the window, a little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve. Mommy, why are they hurting the pilot? The mother pulled her daughter close. She had no answer. Patricia was escorted through the terminal corridor, past the coffee kiosks, past the newsstands, past every set of eyes that watched and said nothing. The fluorescent lights buzzed above her like witnesses too afraid to speak. They took her to a windowless room near the security office. The door closed behind her with a heavy click. And just like that, Captain Patricia Williams, 18 years, 12,000 hours, decorated military veteran, was sitting in a holding room. Like a criminal. The holding room was barely 10 feet wide, concrete walls painted gray, no window, one fluorescent tube on the ceiling, buzzing like a trapped insect. The light flickered every few seconds, casting a pale, sickly glow across everything. A metal table sat in the center. one plastic chair on each side. The air smelled like cleaning chemicals and old sweat. In the upper corner of the room, a small security camera sat behind a dark plastic dome. Its red light blinked once, twice, steady. Patricia sat in the chair closest to the wall. Her torn sleeve hung loose at the shoulder. Her hair, once neatly pinned under her captain's hat, had come undone on one side. A scrape on her knee throbbed.